Tunggu background. Hilang backgroundnya di sini ya. Wait. Belum pada masuk ya Bu ya?
Belum. Kita nggak banyak sih, kalau kemarin ada 88 gitu, jadi banyak.
Oh, sekarang berapa kita?
5.
Oke, 5.
Bit easier and ya relax.
Tapi kok saya nggak ada
Apanya Ibu?
backgroundnya, kok saya hilang nih sekarang. Wait,
Saya
ya.
saya kirim di chat sebentar.
Iya, boleh.
Saya punya 2 soalnya, ada yang putih, ada yang ungu.
Saya yang ungu pasti, yang putih for moderator. Kalau Bu Trias kirim lewat chat, ini saya nge-save-nya nanti gimana caranya Bu ya? Kalau untuk memasukkan.
Sama aja itu, langsung ada tanda panahnya gitu.
Oh, oke.
Bentar, saya simpan di situ.
Saya belum kenal dengan Ibu Trias. Ibu Trias dari mana Bu Trias?
Saya dari UII.
Oh, UII mana? Jogja?
Ya, UII. Kalau UI 1 di Jakarta, kalau
di
Jogja
ya.
UI saja, ya.
Jurusan apa?
Saya manajemen.
Oh. Soalnya saya di itu Muhammadiyah yang bukan.
Bentar, saya carinya nih.
Kemarin ada, tapi kok saya tiba-tiba jadi hilang sekarang.
Ada, saya simpan sebentar. Nah, itu sedang saya kirim. Nanti kalau sudah, nah itu di chat Ibu. Nah, itu tinggal di download.
Oke.
Nah, terus nanti dipasang seperti biasa.
Saya itu. Nah, sekarang saya just virtual background. Ini saya masukinnya tadi kemana ya?
Bu Trias,
sekarang
mohon
pakai
maaf, bisa silahkan dimulai Bu, sudah pukul 10.50.
Oke.
Tunggu. Wah. Sebentar Bu ya. Nanti ya, saya kan nomor 2 nanti Bu ya, jadi silahkan dulu aja, saya masih nyari ini dulu.
Ya, baik. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you the committee that trust me to lead this session, and we will be in session 1 in this morning, and I will show the presenters of our room here. For the first session, wait a minute, sorry. So we will have like 5 presenters here, and we will check first for everyone who already attend this room. Wait a minute. I will check from my checklist. For the first is Ibu or Bapak Virtus Setiajaya. Are you ready in this room? And maybe if he or she still doesn't attend this room, we can move to Ibu Adriana. You will be the first. It's okay, Ibu Adriana. And then Ibu Retno, are you here? No. And then Ibu Sarmianti Unan. Hello, everyone. Can you show yourself so we can start our session this morning? And then the last is Ibu Elva. Okay. So no one Ibu Adriana, I think for the first presenter still not here, so you can be the first. Is it okay for you, Ibu Adriana?
Yes, no problem, Ibu Trias.
Yeah, okay. So you will have like 15 minutes, yeah, and the committee will show the time in your PPT. So you can start now, Ibu, and I will remember you maybe 2 or 3 minutes before the end. You can start, yeah, Ibu Adriana, and good luck with your presentation.
Thank you so
Time
much,
is yours,
Ibu Trias. Thank you so much, Ibu Trias. Friends and also colleague, let me present my presentation regarding policy gap between increasing women's dual role during the pandemic and the lack of recognition of the rights. Next, please. Next, please. This is just an introduction. The Ministry of Finance has acknowledged the increasingly significant role of women in economy. In the micro, small, and medium enterprises sector, women own 53.76% and 97% of the employees which are women, and which contribute 61% to the economy. The investment sector, women contribute 60%. Women entrepreneurs increase the potential contribution to the to GDP to 5 trillion US dollar, and women's economic contribution increase global GDP by up to 12 trillion US dollar. Next, please. Method of the study. The study aims to answer 3 research questions. 1, how are women's work segmented in the current economic under the pandemic? And second, what collective action have driven change at the micro and macro levels? And third, what policies to be introduced to reduce challenges related to work participation in the informal sector, including unpaid care work done by women? Next, please. Research discussion and result, please. Next. So the pandemic worsened women's economic inequality in Indonesia. In November 2020, Statistik Indonesia declared that Indonesia was already in economic recession. Indonesia's GDP only grew at 3.49% in the third quarter of 2020, as opposed to 4 to 5%. The economic recession not only hit the formal sector, but also the informal sector such as street vendors, market stall traders, shop, restaurant, and hotel owners, including domestic workers, which is mostly done by women. Next, please. In April 2020, 4,144 Indonesian migrant workers had been repatriated from countries affected by COVID-19. 83% of repatriated migrant workers were women, and upon their return to Indonesia, they had no resources of livelihood. The sectors that have expatriated the highest economic slowdown since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic are the education and the public administration sectors. The 2 sectors are dominated by female workers. The economic slowdown in education and public services sectors has resulted in layoff and temporary termination of contract or honorary workers, the majority of whom are women. Next, please. 70 women contribution to economic growth does not make them eligible. Does not make them able to enter the formal workforce. 70% of the total female workforce are working in the informal sector. The dominance of women in the informal sector indicates that access to formal labor market remains unequal. The informal workers are vulnerable due to the absence of guaranteed protection, low and uncertain wage standards, and limited access to training and capacity building programs. Next, please. The increase in job termination during the pandemic has contributed to the rise in informal sector in the amount of 77.68 million individuals, or 60.47% of the workforce. In 2020, the informal workforce had increased by 4.59% compared to August 2019. Meanwhile, the number of women who work in the informal sector prior to the pandemic was 61.80%. The number will increase along with the increasing number of female workers who are laid off. Another issue faced by women is the responsibility to care for children, parents, and 6 family members. Next, please. And a survey conducted by UN Women in Indonesia showed that 65% of respondents stated that women have spent more time completing domestic chores since the beginning of COVID-19. A survey conducted by the Ministry of Women's Empowerment and Child Protection in July 2020 showed several findings, including the women bear heavier household workload women, 61%, spending more time caring for children and parents than men. Women work 80% more than they did before COVID-19. Survey data from National Commission on Violence Against Women show that 96% of household work during the pandemic is done by women rather than men. Next, please. Economic growth and gender equality. Women's work participation is still segmented in the informal and unpaid sector. As what Kabir and Natalie identified, a significant U-shaped relationship between economic growth and female labor force participation. The U-shape of the relationship occurs as female labor force participation is high in low-income agrarian economies with a close relationship between household production and markets. However, the female participation rate began to decline as the economic shift to manufacturing and formal services as the basis of growth. Women participation and activity levels increased again when there are structural changes combined with increased education of women and reduced fertility rates. Next, please. In October 2019, the IMF published its first working paper dedicated to unpaid care work. Globally, women conduct 76.2% of the total hours of unpaid care work. And the high participation of women in the informal sector, especially unpaid care work, is also indicated in the IMF findings. Unfortunately, domestic and care work have not been counted economically in the statistics and policies, as well as ignored by policymakers. Next, please. Domestic workers as informal workers. The number of domestic workers in Indonesia reached 5 million people, 84% of whom are women, and 40% of female domestic workers being under the age of 18. Domestic work is always considered to be informal work as there are no legal contract to the working relationship between domestic workers and their employers. Domestic worker laws are represent the state's responsibility to protect them. The absence of regulations to protect domestic workers has led to both individual and structural discrimination and violence. Next, please. The survey conducted by Jala PRT showed that from January 2018 to April 2020, there were 1,458 reported cases of violence against domestic workers in form of physical, psychological, economic, as well as sexual violence. Other forms of violence include unpaid wages, termination before the Idul Fitri to avoid paying the Eid allowance, and the lack of health insurance. The majority of domestic workers do not have a contract that spells out clearly their rights and responsibilities, working hours, vacation days, as well as overtime pay. Next, please. Job creation law and gender inequality. Several articles related to employment in job creation law have the potential to worsen gender inequality for female workers. In Article 81.151 of the job creation law still recognizes the contracts work system, even going so far as to eliminate restriction and contracts. A consequence of this is the implementation of prolonged work contracts, resulting in the loss of severance rights that should be obtained in accordance with the length of employment. Next, please. Article 78 of the law also stipulates that overtime limitations have been extended from 3 to 4 hours, making it possible for employees to work an additional 4 hours on top of the 8 hours workday. Article 79 of the law states that weekly rest periods is 1 day for every 6 work days in a week. The article is an amendment of the labor laws provisions regarding the weekly rest period, which stipulates 5 working days in a week. In other words, in the law, a 6 working day is no longer included in overtime. The provision is detrimental to women workers who still bear the double burden in the workplace and at home. Next, please. The law continues to exclude care works and informal works, including employment as a domestic worker, which is mostly conducted by women. This is the same as eliminating the substantive participation of women in workforce, including lack of protection for domestic workers. The law does not address women's reproductive health rights. The law does not include menstrual leave for women at the first and second day of their menstrual cycle, maternity leave, and breastfeeding rights. Next, please. Collective action to promote gender equality economic policies. In 1999, the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action highlighted the importance of addressing the inequality of paid and unpaid work between men and women. Unfortunately, very little progress has been made since then, with continued failure to acknowledge unpaid care work in policies. Meanwhile, in various parts of the world, in both developed and developing countries, women spend more time than men undertaking care work. Moreover, during the COVID-19 pandemic, the burden on women to conduct domestic and care work has multiplied. Next, please. Another collective action-driven improvement in the field of women's employment is done by the National Network for Domestic Workers Advocacy, or JALA PRT, in collaboration with academics and other stakeholders to advocate for the pass of the bill on the protection of domestic workers by the People Representative Council. On July 1, 2020, the Protection of Domestic Workers Bill was submitted as a draft bill. However, the initiative failed. The Deliberative Assembly of the DPR did not agree to include the bill in the DPR's plenary meeting discussion. Advocacy for policies to protect domestic workers is important to prioritize because domestic workers are very vulnerable to violence and discriminations. Next, please. The working condition experienced by domestic workers are also faced by women migrant workers employed overseas, who are often referred to as female workers. Many women migrant workers end up in human trafficking network to become domestic workers, sex workers, marital slavery, and other exploitation. Next, please.
Minute left, yeah.
Yes, next, please. The state must facilitate offer incentive that support care work undertaken by women, for example, by ensuring that they have rights to take a leave. To facilitate long-term change, education and curricula used in school and in community should be developed to promote the concept of eco-responsibility and unpaid care work in the home. The state prioritized to provide public services and infrastructure to reduce the amount of time that poor households spend in unpaid care work. Next, please. Conclusion, the new job prospects created by the job creation law does not necessarily close the gap between women and men in the entering labor market. There are still many work sectors which are mostly done by women that are not yet supported by adequate policies. Along with the global pandemic, an increasing number of obstacles block the path to achieving equal job opportunities for women. Because of the pandemic, there is no public-private differences because women do their professional work at home. Therefore, increasing their workload by doing both her professional and household work at the home. At the same time, with policy framework in work that are mostly done by women has made women to continue facing discrimination and violence in the workplace. So next, the creation of job opportunities must be continued to effort protect women's economic, social, political, and cultural rights as guaranteed by government in policies. In order to increase the number of women increasing the labor market. Okay, time's done. Sorry, I want to introduce my colleague, Benita Nastami, because I'm doing this paper together with her. We are from Women Research Institute. So I think Benita Nastami is also here. If you have a question, Benita can also answer the question. Thank you so much, Ibu Cilias, for the time given to me to present this paper.
Thank you, Ibu Idrana Nurdin, for presented the paper. And now time for question and answer. I think everyone can answer through chat box here, or directly. You can raise your hand here. Hello, everyone here. Is there any question? While we are waiting, I think I have a question related to the answer of your aims of this research. Is it answered and the result like your hope?
I think no questions.
Okay, if there is no question, 15 minutes is related to all of the time. Yeah, so I think the time is up for us. And thank you for Ibu Adriana and Ibu Benita Nastami, for presented the paper. It is the thing that's very valuable for us. Thank you once again for Ibu Adriana and Ibu Benita. Clap for the presenters. Thank you. And we can move to the next presenter. That is the first, really, the number. Bapak or Ibu Virtus Setiajaya, are you here? Hello? If there is no Bapak Virtus, we can move to the next. Ibu Retno? Are you here, Ibu Retno? Hello? Or Ibu Sarmiati? Are you here, Ibu Sarmiati?
Hello. Hi, Miss.
Yeah. Are you replace Ibu Sarmiati?
Yes, I'm going to be representing Ibu Sarmiati.
Okay, time for you, 10 minutes for presenting and 5 minutes for a question and answer. Time for you, Pak Ongki.
Yep. So I share my own. Okay. Right. Thank you so much for the time. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm going to be representing Ibu Sarmiati to present the presentation of the result. So our research entitled Gender and Historical Awareness of a Region. Next slide, please. So this is basically the research we conducted in Dharmasraya Regency. Next, please. So this is the Regency, which is Dharmasraya, located in West Sumatra. Next. Okay. As we know, the Dharmasraya is one of the districts in West Sumatra province. This area was once the capital of the Pemalayu Kingdom. So if you know that the expedition of Pemalayu, that's exactly located in Dharmasraya Regency. So actually, the governments of Dharmasraya tried to glorify the history by holding the Pamalayu festival. So the civil and also the local society in Dharmasraya doesn't really know the historical backgrounds of their region. So that's why in 2019, the government conducted the Pamalayu Festival to disseminating the value and also the research, the message to the whole local governments and also national as a whole about the history of Dharmasraya and about the expedition of the Pamalayu. So after that festival, next please. After the festival was held, people began to realize the history of Dharmasraya Regency. People begin to understand and that there is no great history, the civilization that they have started to forget. And people are becoming more aware that there are cultural sites in Dharmasraya that they need to protect and preserve and pass on to the next generation. So people begin to take part in passing the history on the next generation in various ways. In this also done by the all level of society, both women and men. So in this research, we actually analyze the different field, which is education sector, and also the traditional sector that we are going to explain in the analysis of the result. Next, please. Next, please. Okay, or maybe we can skip that. So we already know about the concept of gender. It is actually mean the point of view that women and men categorized by the expectations of the society. So let's talk about the generativity. So in the term of processing on transferring the message and also the value of culture that they already get from the Pamalayu festival. So the men and women in this civilization, they try to pass the inherited knowledge and understanding about the historical events and which is the Pamalayu expedition to the next generation. This process we call as generativity. So the process of transmitting cultural value can be done by giving inherited knowledge to the next generation. So the historical knowledge being passed by the male and female in Dharmasraya Regency. So here is the two concepts that related to that. Next, please. It is also the relevant research that we actually have in this research. And one of them is mine, Ongki Andrawan, with the title of Analysis of the Festival Pamalayu as the communication channel in cultural internalization. So the case study of Pamalayu expedition in Dharmasraya. Next, please. Okay, so this is basically the main point of the presentation today because we talk about public awareness of the history of Dharmasraya is shown in a different behavior based on gender. So the nature inherent in men and the nature inherent in women makes them reflect different behavior toward their area. So that is actually the basic idea of why we conducted this research. So we want to know the role of gender in passing and transmitting the message of culture that they got from the Pamalayu festival in order to create a betterment in term of awareness to the region, to the next generation. Next, please. Okay, so this is the method. We use the qualitative method with the paradigm of constructivist paradigm. And the study that we use data collection, doing the interview observation, we go directly to Dharmasraya to portray and to get all the documentation. And we also portray the historical site there. Next, please. We can just skip it and go directly to the result and discussion. So this is the result and discussion. So number one, before jumping to the gender role, I would like to explain about the Pamalayu Festival, which has been conducted in Dharmasraya Regency, left a lot of meaning for the community. So people's knowledge and understanding of their area are actually growing. And as a result, people's behavior are also begin to change along with development of both knowledge and understanding. It is also applied with the behavior of the citizens there, whether men and women, to actually preserve and also protecting the existence of the historical site in Dharmasraya. So let's move to the next slide, please. Okay, because our research conducted in Dharmasraya, so Dharmasraya is still categorized as a very conservative region. So to know the involvement of men and women, so we can actually see the involvement and women and men in the organization that exists there. So one of the organization that exists is BAMUS atau Badan Musyawarah in Indonesia, or in English we say that body of deliberation. So BAMUS member come from various layers society, such as leader, Nenek Mama, and one of them is Bundo Kandung. So basically, Bundo Kandung acting as the mouthpiece to convey the aspiration, focus on welfare for men and children. Next, please. So to analyze the role of the Bundo Kandung and other apparatus of traditional, such as Nenek Mama and also the leader, we are going to analyze their gender based on their involvement in organization. So this is the involvement of men and women in BAMUS. So Bundo Kandung is usually not too involved in the conversation. So the result that we see that when there is a discussion or deliberation, we see that Bundo Kandung actually not too involved in the conversation, even though there are always asked for opinion by other member of deliberation, as well as solution to the problem that may be suggested by the Bundo Kandung. During deliberation, the presence of men indeed more dominant in terms of giving opinion and problem solving, as well as in terms of leading discussion, while Bundo Kandung usually waits for the opportunity to express their opinion. So Bundo Kandung tend to think of putting other traditional apparatus like Nenek Mama and stuff. It is actually rare for the Bundo Kandung to raise their hands to ask for interruption when there is a different opinion, unless impact of the result of the deliberation is tremendously bad for the community. But that has never happened. So from this, we know that the existence of Bundo Kandung is very respectful. So the another traditional apparatus actually respect the existence of Bundo Kandung and respect the role of Bundo Kandung. In here, we can see that the another apparatus always asks the opinion, even though this Bundo Kandung, they actually admit themselves that they have a specific or typical role in Minang. So they not really prioritize themselves, or they're not really putting themselves instead of putting the other traditional apparatus in every discussion. Next, please. Okay, this behavior, we can say that it is actually the socialization theory. So the socialization theory argues that individuals' behavior patterns are shaped by the gender expectation. So the expectation of women in Minang is actually become the Bundo Kandung, which has the function as limpape of rumah gadang. So we can move to the next slide, please. Okay, as I said before, that Minangkabau women, especially Bundo Kandung, have a role as limpape of rumah gadang. As stated by Blocher and Enberg in 1997, in their research about that women are directly to the role of nurturing caregiver, which encourage them to be more compassionate, empathic, and cooperative than men. Therefore, they play more important role in pacing of the culture and historical value. This means that the representation of women called Bundo Kandung, who is in the KAN or BAMUS organization, acts as mouthpiece, as I said before. So this is actually the role of Bundo Kandung in passing the cultural values that they already get to the next generation. Next, please. Okay, this is actually the gender. Gender role carried out by women, where women are always most likely to struggle in domestic field, even though they are Bundo Kandung who are given the equal opportunity with men in organization like BAMUS and KAN, but they still have the inherent role. So which is superimposed by the prevailing culture, norms, and values that women are more likely in domestic sphere and men are more in the public sphere. So when there is a public speaking, for example, men tend to involve more, while Bundo Kandung tend to involve in the very domestic sphere, such as in family, in neighborhoods, or in their surrounding, in passing these traditional values. Next, please. Okay, we can just skip this one. Next, please. So let's moving on to the second field. So we already talked about the traditional one. So let's talk about the gender role in passing the value of the culture in the education sector. It is totally different. In education sector, for example, teacher and role of women and men tend to be equal. In this case, women may become a discussion leader or act as a project leader. In terms of opinion, women and men also tend not to wait for this other opportunity
Okay,
and are
time
well
is
aware
up,
in the
yeah.
opposition. Yes, thank you. So this is the conclusion of the research. So we can know that in the education sector, they actually impose the modern development theory, while in the traditional one, they actually impose the traditional role as a woman. Thank you so much for the time.
Okay, thank you, Pak Ongki, who replaced some researchers here, and now time for a question and answer. 5 minutes for question and answer. Hello, everyone. Do you have any question for this presentation? I think you can read again the conclusion of the research, Pak Ongki, because no one having a question. Just
Okay, right.
your conclusion, yeah.
Okay, right. So thank you, Bu Trias. All right. So the conclusion of the research, we can know that there are two fields that we actually do conducted research, which is the education sector and the traditional sector. In traditional sector, there is a Bundo Kandung. We analyze Bundo Kandung role in passing the cultural values. And in education sector, we also analyze another society's role, which is the teacher. So we can see the difference here. Traditional one use the traditional ideology, so it means that they are still conservative, so they still believe in the category of woman and man role. So women trend to prioritize the men, and in the modern sphere, like in education sector, they don't really see this categorization. So they just see that women and men are actually equal. So in passing this ideology, for example, they will going to make the method of learning. So it is actually equal for them to do the same thing in the education sector. So maybe that's just the conclusion of the research. Thank you so much, Bu Trias. Dikembalikan.
Okay, thank you, Pak Ongki. I can see anyone here for question and answer. Everyone still
Okay.
under off video. So if question, we can move to the next presenters. Thank you, Pak Ongki, for presenting.
Thank you, Bu Trias.
Hope that is very valuable for our scientific world, yeah, especially in cultural, yeah, in
culture and gender.
Cultural and gender. Okay, we can move to the next presenter. And before we start, we glad Pak Ongki and friends here. And we have the other presenters that are already, I asked who is already here. Wait a minute. Is there any presenters here? Bapak Virtus Setiajaya? No? Ibu Retno? Are you here, Ibu Retno? No? And then Ibu Elva? Hello, Ibu Elva? Yeah, I'm...
Yes, yes, I'm
yeah,
here.
I think, yeah, okay. Are you ready for presenting?
Okay, wait for a minute. Saya mau
Yeah,
ganti
okay.
background dulu, Ibu, sebentar.
Okay, I think while we are waiting for replacing the background for Ibu Elva, I want to check Ibu Retno and Ibu or Bapak Virtus Setiajaya. Are you here? No, we are waiting for Ibu Elva. So sorry, yeah. So Ibu Elva will present the title related to, wait a minute, yeah. Is it no problem? I think, but you need, if you want to replace the background, that's okay too. Is there here Ibu Retno? We have like 5 presenters here, but we already had 2 presenters, yeah, that finished the presentation. And we are waiting for Ibu Elva. Are you ready, Ibu Elva, now?
Insyaallah, Ibu,
Yes.
please.
Yeah,
I can
okay.
try.
Okay. Yeah, good luck with your presentation. Time is yours and screen will replace to you.
Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everybody. I want to give an honor who I respect. Ladies and gentlemen, ICGCS seminar participant. First of all, I would like to thank the moderators, Ibu Tria Setiawati, for giving me time to present this morning. My name is Elva Ronaningrum. You can call me Ona. Yeah, I am a lecturer at Department of Communication, Science and Dallas University. On this session, I will present my paper entitled the phenomenology of undercover prostitution at Padang City according to feminism views. Okay. Orator, can you to my background? Okay. Prostitution in Padang is currently a phenomenon that exists in social life in the province of West Sumatra. Prostitution undercover occurs because of the in every element of the function that is interrelated with one another. And then functional element in the formation of prostitution that are examined in this study is sex workers. In condition right now, the existence of prostitution among a woman at Padang is considered because of the powerlessness of women in aspects of life when compared to men. The background of this research is Padang City as a region in Indonesia turns to have a lot of hidden prostitution activities. In a few years, prostitution grow with quantitative significance number in Padang. This commercial sex worker generally come from outside of the region, but not a few also come from the Padang itself. And then in general, the factors that cause of a woman to become a commercial sex worker because economic factors, but a few also accused by divorce and have lost their virginity. Okay, next. Yeah. And then the purpose of this research is to get a feminist perspective on prostitution activities in Padang City, and then to get the social construction of women in prostitution activities in Padang City. Next. The methods of this research is the first, the approach used is a phenomenological approach with a qualitative type of research, and then the data collection method was carried in Padang City by conducting interviews with key informant in this research I have two PIMS, and then for prostitution or sex workers. And then data analysis using qualitative data analyzing method gitu ya, namely the method of reduction and then data presentation and getting a conclusion. Nah, and the result is next operator. Not yet. Any somehow commercial sex worker admitted to working secretly gitu ya, because they were shy if their family gitu ya members found out gitu ya. This is because the people of Padang City still uphold religious values and customary law gitu ya. The second, women become prostitutes because their husband are unemployed gitu. The high burden of living to meet the economic needs for of her children. Nah, women become prostitutes because they are disappointed with their cheating husband, and then women become prostitutes because her boyfriend who is also pimp gitu ya. This is not to meet their lifestyle need ya. And then women become prostitutes because it is difficult to find a work gitu ya. And then the practice of prostitution cannot be separated from the gender issues. This is the basis for feminists to eliminate this problem. Nah, the practice of prostitution is actually not only carried out by women, but negative about prostitution is always associated with women. The conclusion, the conclusion, and then operator, okay. Oh, sorry. Conclusion, this is my conclusion of research, number one, from a feminist perspective, women are always unequal to men and are discriminated again from the social system because women are not free to work like men, whatever he likes, like this gitu ya. The second, from a socialist feminist perspective, social construction is a sort of injustice to women in this case, my research, women must also be respected as a supporter of men in carrying their function, and roles in the social system. And then the last, from the perspective of radical feminists, efforts must be made to foster gender awareness in the social system, especially towards women. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to present this morning. Ibu Trias, if you have any question in the room, I will be happy to answer them. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for Ibu Elva who already presented the paper, something interesting, but we don't know undercover about prostitution. So we can move to the question and answer. Please, attendance, who will...
Ibu Tria Setiawati,
yes.
In this room, I have to my mahasiswa saya yang juga saya bawa untuk melakukan riset ini, ada Tiffany.
Okay.
Tiffany, Tiffany,
Yeah. Tiffany already here.
Thank you, Bu Ana. Hello, Bu Trias.
Yeah. Thank you, Tiffany, for joining our conference. I think we can give the time for everyone who are interested in this topic, especially about the what we call key informant. That is very important, yeah. Hello, everyone. Are you still here? Pak Ongki, do you have any question? You are.
Yeah, hello, Miss. I actually
Yeah.
don't have any question, but I just want to appreciate and give the high appreciation for Mem Alvarona. She is actually my lecturer too, because these research are very complicated. I want to give the high appreciation for Bu Ona to conduct this research actually. So I just need a high appreciation. Is that okay? I don't have any question actually.
Okay, thank you Pak Ongki, Mas Ongki. Udah Ongki ya, if in Padang.
Ongki is
if-
my student.
oh yeah.
Yeah, Ongki is my student in communication. Gitu.
Okay, thank you for joining this conference ya, Mbak Tiffany, Uni Tiffany, and Uda Ongki. If no
Thank you,
one
Miss.
having question, I think I have a question for you, Ibu Ona. How the way to look for the informant and how many informant that you had in this research?
Yes, I have a sick informant in this research, two PIMS, yeah, and then for a sex worker, ma'am.
Okay,
For, yeah.
Very interesting for finding the key informant in this research. But if you want to describing what is the result of this research, only in one sentence or two sentences, what is the result of this research?
Okay. Yes. The first, I see from a feminist perspective, yeah, women are always unequal to men, yeah, and then maybe, I don't know, discriminated, maybe, yeah, discriminated again from the social system, yeah, because women not because women are not free to work like men, whatever he like, yeah. And then in this my research gitu, woman to become a prostitusi ya, having a problem, I think gitu ya, maybe because their husband are not applied gitu ya, terus mungkin woman become to prostitute because she was sexually harassed by her employer, ya, and then maybe woman become to prostitute because she was sexually harassed by her employer again. Woman because prostitute because they are asked by her boyfriend, ya, who is also a PIMS gitu ya, and then woman become prostitusi because it is right now difficult to find work gitu. By working as a prostitute, she claimed to be able to earn a net income of $100 per day. This is my result.
Okay, thank you, Ibu Ona.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Ibu Ona, for making a title. We can choose one of the method for the process like EMIC, yeah. EMIC, that the title come from the field, but you can do by yourself. The title is ethic. So EMIC title is a skill for us in field, yeah, how to ask the key informant to get something interesting for the title, the EMIC method in making the title.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Ibu Ona and Uni Tiffany, who already presented for this session, and club for their presenting. Okay. And we move to the next, yeah. Here is Ibu Retno, Bapak Virtus Setiajaya. Are you here? No. So who is the way to continue committee? So we already 3 presenters, but no more presenters that exist in this room. So we can close our session, yeah, or discuss, yeah, for more understanding in this room, especially. So if we have no more question, Ibu Adriana, are you still here? You can also join and discuss the research of many presenters here. And
Yes, as I'm here.
do you want to add something? Because I did many research that related to qualitative method, yeah. And I tend to use like emic title or ethic title for getting the new thing that very great impression for the reader. For example, like in bahasa, for example, karir, yes, for a minute. Family is very important, so career is not everything. For example, this is the ethic title that we can make from the field that can represent, yeah, condition that we are only in one sentence, yeah, but the meaning is like so high, something like that. Okay, Ibu Adriana, do you have anything that will be discussed in our room, because we still have some moment? And Ibu Siti.
Can I ask something, Ma'am Trias?
Yeah. Okay, udah okay.
Yeah, it's actually an interesting topic for me, talking about gender. So this question may be for you, Ma'am Trias, or from the Women Institute, if I'm not mistaken. What was it?
No, Ibu Adriana that come from Women Institute. I
Yeah,
am
Hi,
from
Ongki. Hi,
Yeah.
Ongki. I'm the
Hi,
one
ma'am.
who from Women Research Institute. I also
Women
admire with
Research
your
Institute.
research.
Yeah,
Yes, I also
Okay.
admire
Yeah,
with
yeah,
research.
Yeah, okay. So I mean the question is for Ma'am Trias and also Ma'am Adriana then. Okay. I just wondering, from many researches that you both already conducted with your own field, what is the most unique research and most unique finding that you found during the research? Maybe 1 or 2 topic that's quite interesting to be talked.
Okay,
That's
Ibu
quite
Adriana.
surprising facts maybe about gender.
Yeah, sure. Okay, Ibu Adriana, you can answer first. Time is yours.
Okay, Ongki. Actually, all the research done by women or all the research about women, it's surprisingly, how to say that, the research finding, it's really surprised us, because for example, like just a simple things during pandemic, when we are talking regarding the binary between public and private, and now actually women are doing all, not only responsible for the public sectors, but also they have to also responsible for the domestic work at the same time. So that's why most respondents said that during the pandemic, women spend 80% of their time to do the work, either paid work or unpaid work. So I think this is also one of the surprising findings that we found during when we are doing research.
Was it implemented in the various contexts? For example, like modern society, was it only implemented on that, or it is also implemented in traditional one, which is very conservative?
Even also in the traditional one, I think in the traditional one even worse, yeah, because now women have to, for example, like in the villages, women have to be responsible in the agrarian context. They have to go for the to work in the how to say that for their own livelihood and also for the family livelihood, but they have also responsible at the same time for the domestic work. For example, like you
the
can
family.
see, you can see if women have to go to the field, the rice field, for example,
Yep.
they have to carry their baby, or they have to also taking care of kids. So that's why they have to cook earlier in the morning, and then they bring all the food to the paddy field. And when they are during the, I don't know, maybe during the lunch or whatever, they have to taking care of their children. And if they have a baby, they have to carry the baby while they are doing also all the work that have to be done in the field. You know,
Too many things at once, mom. Yeah.
Exactly. So women as if has more than two hands. You know, women have
Exactly.
so they have so many also invisible hands that they have to do at the same time.
Okay. Ibu Siti Sumaryatiningsih, do you want to join the question? The result that may be very surprising for us to understand. Do you have any result that related to that, Ibu Siti?
Yes, I will ask to you all maybe. Research about working hour for a woman is very, very interesting. Even in pandemic, we have to work for work for home, school for home, and homework. It is very interesting if how many hours that a woman do in work during pandemic. Maybe Miss Adriana have any research about this?
Yeah, as what I said before, women spend 80% of their time more
80%.
than they did before. Yeah,
Wow.
more they did before pandemic. Because for example, like we are doing the household work early in the morning, and if we have to taking care of the kids from home, if the also said they have an isoman that we have to taking care also, and at the same time we have to do our professional work also at home. So for me, it's amazed me also with the work done by women, because as what I said before, right? We have so many hands, and also we have to divide it our mind also when we have to do our household and also professional work at the same time. And Ibu Trias, can I also ask a question to the Alpha Rona?
Okay, Ibu Ona, Ibu Ona,
the one who presented.
Still, I think not in her seat. She's still outside. The seat is empty, vacant.
because I want to ask regarding the prostitution.
Ibu Ona already there. You can ask something. Come on,
Hi, Ibu Ona.
Yeah. Come on, time for you, Ibu Adriana. Ibu Ona already there.
Okay. Ibu Ona, because I think this is also surprised me that in Sumatera Barat, I don't know whether this is only in Padang or in all over Sumatera Barat, the phenomenon regarding the sex workers. Because as my understanding, Sumatera Barat is one of the region that implemented the not formally Sharia law, but it seems like the society is how to say that the society is also led by the rules and regulations related to the Islamic law, if I'm not mistaken, yeah. And then how do the society and also the government react to the prostitutions in Sumatra Barat? Do they have the rules, or do they have like they formalize the place for that? Or I'm still questioning about how these sex workers operate in Sumatra Barat.
Time for you, Ibu Ona.
Yeah.
Uni Ona.
Yeah, because Uni Ona, as my understanding, that adat Basandi Syarak, Syarak Basandi Kitabullah, and also the kinship and also the extended family is very close in Sumatra Barat. And then how do they react about these situations?
Yeah. Thank you.
Time for you, Ibu Ona, for
Thank you,
answering.
Mrs. Andriana Nurdin ya, for this question gitu. Halo.
Yeah. We can hear your voice, yeah. So just continue,
Halo.
Ibu Ona. Are you
Halo.
okay? Yeah, we are
We can hear
hearing.
you.
Is there something happened
Ibu
in
Ona,
Ibu Ona connection, I think? Ibu Ona, you can
halo.
you can turn off the video if there is something signal problem.
Thank you, Mrs. Andriana, about for your question ya. For the sex worker in Padang gitu ya, from the government to this day is trying to eliminate prostitution, but can only minimize prostitution gitu. Jadi pemerintah di Sumatera Kota Padang ya, khususnya Pemko Padang ini tidak bisa menzirokan pelacuran yang ada di Sumatera Barat, tapi mereka berusaha untuk mengecilkan angkanya seperti itu gitu ya, dengan melakukan kebijakan-kebijakan ya, serta membuat aturan tersendiri terkait dengan PSK, like this, Ibu Endriana gitu. Tiffany,
Ola, sebetulnya
Yes, Bu.
Ibu Ola, sebetulnya saya paham bahwa nggak ada orang yang bisa mengeliminate
Ibu
the work
Ola
of
or Ibu Ona, Ibu Adriana, Ibu
Ona,
Ola is a committee. Ona.
Sorry, Ibu Ona. No one can eliminate the work of prostitution, since the work of prostitution is the oldest work in the world. But my question is related to the double standard that applied in the Minang society. Then, I don't know whether this is the society or also the government, that they are also denial the fact that the sex workers exist in Padang. Gitu maksud saya, Ibu Ona, karena kan sebetulnya sepertinya kan orang selalu mengatakan, oh ini daerah adat bersandi syarat bersandi kitabullah, kita adalah orang yang agamis and this and that, tapi kan the fact that sex workers exist, dan bagaimana perlindungan akan sex workers di situ, atau apa yang dilakukan oleh pemerintah with the fact that sex workers exist in Sumatera Barat.
Okay, Ibu Ona, do you want to add the explanation?
Okay. About society don't really surprise with the fact of a sex worker in Padang, but pemerintah selalu berusaha untuk melakukan kebijakan-kebijakan exactly kalau seandainya mereka tertangkap saat razia ya, Bu Edriana gitu ya, mereka akan dibawa ke sebuah tempat gitu ya, ada daerahnya namanya di daerah Solo gitu ya, Kabupaten Solo. Di sana ada bukan sosialisasi, mereka akan dikarantina ya, and then diberi pengetahuan dan pelajaran, keterampilan juga gitu ya, supaya ketika mereka keluar dari karantina tersebut diharapkan gitu ya, mereka bisa kembali ke jalan yang benar gitu.
Ya,
Okay, I think we can't finish the discussion because this matters is something very old and exists in any places. And I want to add, I want to add the question or suggestion, for Onki. And I think for everyone. As far as I did the research related to women, especially with the relationship in the family, I think most of women tend to choose the superwoman. It means they try to be the first in work field and also at home. And unfortunately, not every woman is powerful. So there is the suffering will start. And the second relationship is related to how the way to share the existence between the member of family. If there is no sharing existence between the husband and wife, so one of them will be in suffering. And the tendency of us is being a superwoman, and we will so busy everywhere, every time. So 20 hours is not enough. And unfortunately, in our culture, in Java, the man is the first person in the house, in the communities. So if their position is low, even only in his feeling, it will be so danger because lanang, it's mean Allah tapi menang,
Okay.
select tapi menang. It's mean that they need a high position everywhere. If they're feeling being hurt by the spouse, even his wife is okay, the accident will start, like violence, and then looking for other women low or lower than his spouse. We call it this berselingkuh with the better or the worse than the spouse. That is the happen, especially for women who very smart and high in career. It will be has a danger in her house because their spouse will go out or will attack the position of the woman. And by the way, the standard for educating men and women, especially in our research, for the men is lower standard than the woman. So if we teach the student, most of the female student will be higher in their achievement compared to men. We call it in my uni for women, there are cum laude, For men, there is cum laude, Mas Ongki. For men, so many men will be cum laude in their study. So that is
I don't know what the meaning of Camelot. What is Camelot?
Camelot is have so many problems and cannot finish the study on time.
So the woman is cum laude and the man is Camelot, right?
Camelot in bahasa.
Okay.
That is why we need to increase the relationship, the communication between the spouse and also the man and woman for understanding who have the advantage and who have the disadvantage. So everyone can achieve their best in their life. Something like that. But
Camelot
really,
is conflicts,
conflicting.
Camelot is conflict, Ibu Trias,
That is why
conflict, right?
we need to educate men for understanding that they are not always in the highest position. Sometimes they will be lower, especially maybe in income, in position, in career, and their GPA, and their English, and their power to many things. That is Onki, my findings. So for smart women, they will be so careful for what we call it, treat There's
For
post
being
Bu
smart.
Adriana. Yeah.
For being smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, worried
Look
for
like
being smart.
so full, yeah, in the house, because if look so
Yeah.
smart, the spouse will go and looking for someone who lower than his wife.
Yeah.
That
I
is
also
our
found
final.
I also found the case related to that actually. When the men have a smart spouse, they tend to be insecure about their existence, and then the
Yes.
victim will be women at the time because they are
Yeah.
going to blame women and kind of stuff. So that's exactly what happened. I'm not trying to protect my kind, I mean like men, but that's the fact actually.
Yeah.
You're
so
right.
yeah, you will
Yeah, I
be
can agree in
You're
that
right,
a
point.
new man in this
Exactly.
world. We need many new men who understand
Okay,
to set
right.
the existence.
New feminist.
No,
Yeah.
What do we
no
call it?
feminist.
New
Yeah.
male feminist.
Male
Yeah.
feminist.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we are already in the end of our meeting. Yeah. So we have like so warm discussion among us, and we just had like 3 presenters, and it will be 5 really, but 2 of them were absent. So thank you for everyone who already participated in this session. Butanti will the next session in the afternoon also with me. So be relaxed, yeah, to take drink and take rest in the midday for having lunch and so forth. Butanti, Unitanti, because from Padang. Okay, so now we can close our session in this room. And thank
And
you
Ibu,
for
thank you, Ibu
everyone.
Trias. Thank you, Ibu
Yes.
Trias, for being
Yeah.
such a good moderator for us, for all of us. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
Thank you, Ibu
Thanks,
Adriana.
Ongki.
Yeah,
Ongki, send your
Ongki.
presentation, Ongki.
Yeah, thank you,
Yeah,
Miss Adriana. Yeah,
yeah,
sure.
Ibu
Please share with us.
too.
Please
Sure.
share with us. Yeah.
My pleasure.
Okay,
Okay,
Ibu
thank
Ona
you.
too.
Thank you,
Terima
ma'am.
kasih,
Okay.
Bu
Okay, thank
Trias.
you.
Thank
So we
you.
can close yeah for decision for me. If there is something a mistake, yeah, forgive us to do decision.
Sama-sama. You're welcome. You're
Yeah,
welcome,
thank
Ibu
you for
Trias.
everyone. So we can take rest and we will meet again in the afternoon for the next session, maybe in this room or the other room. But Unitanti will be with me in this session in this room too. I will be in duties until this evening, this afternoon. Yeah. Okay, thank you, Ibu Ana. And
Terima
for
kasih
me,
Ibu
yeah, we can
Trias.
close.
Izin
Yeah.
Izin
Ya, Ibu Ola.
menyampaikan pengumuman Ibu dan Bapak, terima kasih atas kehadirannya hari ini. Saya ingin mengingatkan bahwa nanti closing ceremony kita pukul 15.15. Jadi jika memungkinkan Ibu Bapak bergabung, nanti akan ada best presenter dan juga akan ada penghargaan bagi para moderator kita. Baik, terima kasih Ibu dan Bapak. Selamat beristirahat. Sampai ketemu lagi nanti sore. Terima kasih Ibu Trias.
Oke, thank you Mbak Ola.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sama-sama.
Ini
Ibu.
ditutup nggak Mbak
Iya
Ola?
Kak Ona, iya ditutup
this-
aja. Nanti kami tutup. Nggak usah Bu, kita buka aja. Bagi yang mau
Oke.
tetap bergabung, silahkan bergabung.
Oke,
Terima kasih,
Ibu
Bu
Ibu Trias
Tanti.
Setiawati. Thank you, Ibu.
Ibu Ona,
See you.
my husband is lecturer in communication.
Oh,
His
Yeah, but
name?
still study in UNS, yeah, about public affairs,
Oh,
public communication related to transparency.
who is name?
Ahmad Muntaha, yeah, yeah, still he teaching Akademi Komunikasi Indonesia in Jogja. Yeah. Okay, I had been there in Padang, in Solo, in Payakumbuh, in many places that I love it so much with the food, but only in my tongue, but my stomach cannot be joined together with the food, yeah. Only very tasty, but
Ayo
very
datang ke
oily.
Padang lagi, Ibu. Ditunggu.
Iya, saya suka beras Solo ya. Berasnya enak ya, Ongki.
iya Bu, Ibu harus sering-sering ke sini lah.
Waduh
Cobain
ya.
kulinernya.
Ongki, by the way, I did research related to entrepreneurship of Padangis that go outside ya. And the result is suka bersama tapi sulit bekerja sama. That is the result that come from ethic ya, ethic title.
Itu sebenarnya dulu kalau nggak salah ada ininya, Ma'am. There is a wise words related to that. Jadi ada kata-kata bijaknya juga berkaitan dengan itu dulu. Ada claim from somebody, but there is no research since that. So yeah, maybe that research are going to support that wise words, you know.
Yeah, I found not by the cultural term, yes, but my come from the bottom, from the key informant.
Okay.
Yeah, three person at the did the business in Jogja, and they already like meet one another, but no result economically, only socially. Yes.
Only socially, like hanging out together, like chit
just
chat
that.
together,
Yeah,
but no
yeah,
productivity.
not like, yes.
Okay, got it.
My student from Solo who did that research.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he worked in like Bank Mandiri in Solo or something like that. And I went there to his house.
Oh, what is your university, ma'am?
Universitas Islam Indonesia, UII.
Oh, okay. Universitas
Yeah,
Islam.
yeah, but I am based on management, especially human resource management.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
It's surprising, not really related to communication.
Especially in communication is very interesting for doing research related to women and men. Yeah.
Yep.
One of the fact that a woman have like 21,000 until 22,000 words every day, but men only say until 7,000 per day. So you can imagine.
Really significant difference.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's why you need to read about male brain and female brain. It's very different.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, you can look for that book.
Thank you for the information, ma'am. Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we can take rest. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, ma'am.
Ya.
Ibu Trias.
Mari Bu Ona
Welcome,
semuanya.
ya. Gitu ya Mbak Ola.